Hello, TEL 713. Welcome to the Module 11 overview. In this overview, I'm also going to kind of give an overview of the last phase of our class, which begins here in Module 11. You'll have to excuse me, I'm feeling a little sick this week, so there'll be a little coughing and grogginess. So Module 11, we begin the last phase. And if you remember, in every single phase, and we've had 3, we have an apply that goes over the entire phase, several modules. And that apply is very different in our last phase. So as always, try to keep to your times on task. If you run out of time, just put that in anything that we are talking about and say, look, I'm going to stop here because I'm out of time. So our readings this time are about coding and categorizing and data preparation. So these are the really practical kind of nitty-gritty things. And I do know that many of you are not at the moment coding, that you're not writing your chapter 3, and you're certainly not analyzing your dissertation data, right? But this is part of a qualitative class. So it's really important here that you read these and kind of think forward to your dissertation analysis, your hypothetical dissertation analysis, because when you ask the questions on these readings, you and I are co-creating a document that you can use in the future. Now, that could be your own questions that you ask me or the questions of your classmates as you go through and think about analysis again. So everything that we're creating, of course, may not be right at this moment what you're doing, but this is definitely part of something that you need to use in qualitative analysis. The Explore is a tutorial on the HyperResearch coding software. This is the free research. You are not required to do this at all. I'm just making it available to you if you want to mess around and play. And there are some play assignments throughout this phase where you can use the software. There are other softwares, and you may have access to them depending on your organization or teams that you're on. I myself used Deduce. I've used Deduce, MaxQDA. I've used HyperResearch, I've used MaxQDA and Deduce. So this is just here, and you can mess around with it here, or you can bookmark it and think about it for the future. All right, as I said, with question assignment, we are co-creating resources for you in the future, particularly right now, because you're not coding anything, right? You're not actually analyzing anything that's going to be in your dissertation. But a lot of the things we talk about are really applicable to what you're going to write and actually do when you get there. All right. The play, part 2 and part 3 are optional. This is downloading the software, and part 2 is continuing the content analysis. Some of you are doing that, some of you are not. So if you're not, you can ignore that part. If you are, it gives you the next steps to do. Now, in this play, there is one not optional part, and that's a memo of understanding, which is connected to both the connect and to the apply this this module. So I'm going to flip ahead and talk about those first. All right. So your apply and the steps of your apply for this phase, which starts here in module 11, is that you're going to decide what you do, what you turn in, and what you get feedback on. Now, remember that this is a qualitative methods course, and that my expertise is in qualitative methods and research design. So when you're considering what you want to do, remember who would be giving you feedback and how is that feedback useful to you in your authentic work that you're doing right now. I also have expertise in literature around science education, around participatory community education, and post-structural methods and post-structural looks at education. So that's just to give you an idea of what I can help you with. And there are things I wouldn't be the most appropriate person to help you with. So let's look at this. They apply in 5 parts. For this one, you're going to meet with me and determine your focus, okay? You're going to document the meeting in a memo of understanding. That's your play. So the connect is meeting with me, and we're going to talk about your focus over the next few weeks. The memo of understanding is what we talk about and the notes that you'll expand. This is also practice for data collection, okay? So it serves 2 purposes. 1, to get our understanding straight and to have it documented in your play notebook. 2, when you do a memo of understanding, you're kind of collecting data about our meeting, and then you're expanding those as if they were something like field notes. So it's a double purpose for both of these. So you don't have a submission for the apply here. You have a submission for the play. What we will decide is what your focus will be in module 12, 13, and 14. We have 3 more weeks after this where you can turn something in to me and to Lisa and get feedback. Now, we'll talk a lot about this, and it's going to be specific to where you are and what you're doing and what you need to do. So if you look up here, there are some examples. Some things that you could do is you can go back and revise and finish lingering assignments. So remember, you should have attempted all play and apply assignments. As part of the syllabus, it says you should attempt them. If you haven't attempted them all, you can go back and do those and just submit throughout the rest of these weeks. You can create an outline for your chapter 3. And then throughout, we can start putting in sources and things that you will need to write for that chapter 3. Some of you may not be that far, or you might not even be thinking about your chapter 3 at the moment, but particularly our expertise is really good for your chapter 3 around any qualitative data you're collecting and any qualitative data you're analyzing and how that's analyzed. You can create a roadmap for your proposal revisions. So you're probably, I'm guessing, many of you have written your chapter 1, you're probably on your chapter 2, or you're still working on certain things. You can make a roadmap for those revisions and get feedback from us on maybe the order of those revisions. You can continue to design. Now, many of you are in different spaces. Some of you have a completely designed innovation, and you're just working on the literature, the theories, and tweaking your methodology and your methods, your data collection sources, and all of that. If you're there, you can pick any of those points, whether it's designing your intervention, maybe you're revising that and you want feedback from us. How does that relate to theories? How do I come up with research questions? Again, it depends on where you are, and that's why we're meeting and doing the memoing to decide what's right for you during this time. You can work on this section, role of the researcher, for your proposal and your dissertation. And then lastly, and I want you to consider this very seriously, it is not, I don't want you to feel like this is some sort of cop out or you're giving up. I know that you're working on many things and you're working closely with your chair. And you may even have committee members that you're working with here. So you can choose to focus your time elsewhere. It is literally your time. We have gotten through, we've gotten through the applies to a state where now you can do that. I would ask you, of course, to continue reading and doing the questions and participating in the class in that way, but you don't have to, in the apply, give me anything. You can just let go of that. And that may be what you need to do. Again, we can talk about that. And I don't want you to feel like The other thing too is you may be working on something really hard that really I'm not an expert in, and my feedback would only be a reader response. And from your committee and your chair, you're going to get plenty of that. You may not need another reader response. So these are all things to consider when you come to our meeting. And and we plan together. Okay, so back to our meeting and planning together. So I showed this to you in the last module to schedule a time. If you haven't done that, definitely schedule a time to meet with me, because this is how we move forward to decide what's right for you. And I'll help you any way I can in designing some work that might help you with your proposal and your dissertation going forward. Now, the play, this is where you're going to memo. And what you do when you write a memo is you can use shorthand about the things we talked about. And you already kind of know what we're talking about and what pieces we're going to hit. So you can write out these stages and then put in the shorthand. And then after you have the meeting with me, you can go back using the shorthand and flesh out what we talked about. And that's kind of how you do field notes. It's a practice for going from field note meetings to expanding, as well as being part of our plan. Again, content analysis optional. Messing around with downloading the qualitative software is also optional. So we get a lot of choice coming into this, and it's exciting in many ways that we're toward the end and you're moving towards your proposal and your dissertation. And it's a little sad for me, because now I've been really involved in your work and invested in you, and soon you're going on. And so that's my feelings about both of these. So again, pay attention to your time on task. Make sure you do the readings, because even though you're not doing it right now, the conversation that we can have on it and the questions is going to be really helpful in the future, because you'll always have access to our resource guide, to the videos of me answering your questions, and to the answer guide. All right. Have a wonderful week, and I'm really excited to see what different things you bring to our memoing session.